Mr.Tech Agent, we're back. I just want to apologize. I haven't been uploading videos. I've just been ridiculously busy over the last 1 month. I just never got the time to take a camera and start filming. It's been that bad. Today I finally got some time, so I thought let's talk about some vintage headphones that I have accumulated over these last few weeks. Got so many videos to make. I just don't have the time. But today let's start with a pretty rare headphone from Beyerdynamic. This is the Beyerdynamic DT511. One of the rarest Beyerdynamics I think you can find right now, and that has to do with its how it was marketed back in the day. First of all, let's talk about the date. There are many opinions. There are many people saying different kind of dates, so there is no exact date. I was able to get slight figure from Beyerdynamic. Beyerdynamic told me 1991, but another website where they have these timelines of headphones, they said June 1992, so I'm gonna go with that. It was launched in 1992. I don't know how long it was in production for, but that was the production, that was the initial launch date, 1992 June. But there's a catch. This headphone was exclusively sold in Germany, with very few parts sold across North America. So this was a very limited marketed headphone. It was mainly for the German market and not for the North American market, and especially the Asia and stuff. So it was not sold in those continents. It was only sold in Germany. So this made this headphone exceedingly rare, and due to low production years, I think it was hardly in production for like 3 or 4 years, I think. So which is and they used to manufacture these really low, because the DT990, the DT880, the DT770 were all alongside in production, especially the DT990, which was like a very famous headphone back in the days. The DT880 got limelight I think after the 2000s, but the 990 and the 770 specifically were the more common Beyerdynamics, which were mass produced and sold in that timeline. So the DT511 alongside those headphones really didn't catch up, and hence Beyerdynamic discontinued it after a few years of production. So this makes this headphone very rare. Now let's talk about this headphone itself. Now this pair that I have right here is almost new old stock. I didn't have the box or anything like that, but the guy who sold me these said he used them for when he bought them back in the day for like 1 week. After that he just kept it in the closet, and then he was starting to sell all his inventory, because he's an audio engineer and stuff. So he was selling all of his stuff, and then he had a DT511 that he sold to me, as well as the K241 that I featured on the channel a few days ago. So this headphone was with him, and it was hardly used. Although it was hardly used, the headband strap, he said, was missing. So I had to make one myself. I reupholstered this with black Alcantara. You don't have to use Alcantara, but you can. I had some. You can use normal cotton and stuff. It should work just fine. I also have the new old stock strap from Beyerdynamic itself. I've got 4 of them, but I have those for other headphones that are coming in, so not for this. So I reupholstered this headband strap with black Alcantara, and as you can see, it looks amazing. Very, very comfortable. Fits really nice, looks really nice. Put the new old stock new pads, but basically these are the EDT770V, not the EDT990V. The DT511 and the DT550 use the EDT770V pads instead of the 990V pads, which are for the 990, 880 and stuff. So that is something different about the ear pads. I also made the system removable, so you've got dual chassis mounts, 3.5 female, with 3D printed washers. I also added this 3D printed cap right here. This is basically because I tore the mesh inside, so I had to cover this up. I just took a caliper and made exact notch for this hole right here, and this just 3D printed it out, and it looks amazing, I think. So that the hole was covered because of this. I also recabled them completely. The inside, we have got Summer Peacock MK2 cables, same ones used in the Beyerdynamic T1, the original one, not the second generation, but same cable. So it's a fairly high quality cable. I also removed the resistors in line, which made, I think those were 250 ohm. Now it's 600 ohm. So usually this headphone is 250 ohm, but after I think I removed the resistors, it became 600. I'm not sure exactly what happened right there, but on my multimeter it shows 600 ohm on both transducers. So this is a 600 ohm headphone. comfort wise, it's amazing. One of the most comfortable Beyerdynamics I think I've ever put on my head. It is extremely lightweight. The sound quality is I'll come to that in my review, but briefly, if I wanted to explain, it sounds like a DT880 and a K7 O2 child. Basically, that's how it sounds. Soundstage is much larger than any Beyerdynamic because of the frequency response, but the overall impact and response is slightly better than the 880. So you get that kind of a feel to it. It's a cool sounding headphone. Nothing different that you would expect, because it uses similar drivers. It doesn't make a whole lot of difference in terms of fidelity, but it's an interesting take on the frequency response. After correction and stuff, it sounds really good. I actually use this more than my 880 and 990 and stuff. So in terms of look, again, it looks very similar to the 990, but slightly different. 990 has the similar grill network, but slightly altered. It's having a bulge to it. This is flat, very similar to the Beyerdynamics in that time period. Even the original 990 had something like this, but the 990 in the 1990s and the 2000s had again that bulge to it. So those are the differences of the Beyerdynamics from that time. So this is the DT511, made in Germany. Pretty really rare headphone. I don't know what to say about this. Serial number on my pair shows 18,129. So this should be a very late production, I think. But whatever it is, most of them, even if they existed, I think people destroyed them. So very few units like these are still in the market right now. So if you want one, I highly suggest go on the German classifieds, because that's the only place where you will find these. Otherwise, just no way you'll find them on Headfi and stuff. It's that rare. DT511, hope you guys enjoyed it. Take it easy. We'll be back with a lot of videos. I've got tons and tons of vintage headphones. I've got 3D printing videos. I've got many parts coming in for the Ultimaker. I also have many restoration projects that I wanted to talk about. Some IEM reviews. Just a lot of stuff coming up. I just don't have the time, and it's becoming pretty hard for me to make videos with the work I'm doing. So I'll try my best to get those up as soon as possible. But this is the DT511, a great headphone, one of my favorite Beyerdynamics, I think, vintage. Really like it. 1992, great headphone. Take it easy, and like always, have a good one. All right.